Welcome back, everyone. This is video 4 of the series, and today we are cranking things up a notch. We're going to dive into the world of high-performance vestibular systems. We'll explore the absolutely incredible solutions evolution came up with for birds and mammals to really master speed and agility.
Right, so this explainer is all about flight and speed, avian mastery and mammalian refinements. We're going to be looking at two completely different but, equally brilliant evolutionary answers to the problem of moving really, really fast through complex environments.
So, here's the big question we're tackling today. As amniotes, that big group including reptiles, birds, and us mammals, started to conquer the air and the land, how on earth did their sensory systems keep up? We're talking about the extreme demands of flight versus the challenges of running super fast on the ground. These are just fundamentally different problems, and they demanded two totally unique solutions. Okay, first up, let's talk about the true masters of the sky. The absolute best way to think about a bird's vestibular system is as this perfectly integrated, high-performance flight computer. Seriously, it's not just about staying upright. It's a whole system built from the ground up for navigating three-dimensional space at incredible speeds. Now, at the very heart of this flight computer is a concept called a high-gain system. The physics here is just, well, it's beautiful. A bigger curve, a larger radius in the semicircular canals makes them way more sensitive to angular acceleration. What that means is that birds can detect these incredibly subtle little rotations that we would just be completely oblivious to.
So, this avian flight computer, or maybe we should call it an avionics suite, it has three main parts we're going to break down. First, you've got the top-tier sensors, those high-gain canals. Second, there's the advanced processing unit, which is housed in this huge part of the brain. And third, and this one is wild, a piece of repurposed ancient tech that acts as an onboard altimeter.
Look, the shape of the hardware is everything. You can see just how long and slender the canals are in a bird's inner ear compared to their ancestors, and even compared to us. This isn't just a fluke. This geometry is fine-tuned to give them that incredible sensitivity to rotation they need to keep their head and eyes stable while doing all those complex moves in the air. Okay, so you have these amazing sensors collecting all this data, but where does it all go? Well, it gets processed in a part of the brain called the vestibulocerebellum, specifically an area called the flocculus. In birds, this thing is so massive it actually carves a big dent in the skull, what we call the floccular recess. We can even spot this in fossils like Archaeopteryx. That tells us the neural software for flight was evolving right there alongside the wings.
Now this might just be one of the coolest examples of evolutionary repurposing, or exaptation, out there. Birds have this thing called the paratympanic organ, or PTO. It's basically the same structure as an organ in fish that was used to detect water currents. But in birds, it's been completely retooled into a biological barometer. It senses changes in air pressure to help them figure out their altitude. An old fish sensor became a flight altimeter. I mean, how amazing is that?
All right, let's switch gears and come back to our own branch of the family tree. If birds built a flight computer, what did mammals do? We perfected a reflex engine. The whole system for us is less about navigating wide-open 3D space and much more focused on one thing, creating ridiculously fast reflexes to keep our vision stable during the jerky, high-frequency head movements you get when you're running on the ground. One of the huge steps in this specialization was something we can call the cochlear divorce. So unlike a lot of other vertebrates, most of us mammals actually lost the third otolith organ, the lagina. You might ask, why get rid of a sensor? Well, it was a trade-off for better hearing. Getting rid of the lagina and its heavy little crystals freed up the new coiled cochlea to vibrate more freely. That unlocked the door for evolving specialized high-frequency hearing. And this brings us to a really fascinating puzzle. The vestibulo-ocular reflex, the VOR, has to be absolutely lightning fast to keep your vision from blurring when you run. The problem is, there's a physical speed limit to how fast chemicals, neurotransmitters, can travel across a synapse. So how did mammals break that speed barrier? How do we get these ultra-fast reflexes? The answer is an amazing piece of neural hardware, unique to amniotes but really perfected in mammals, the calyx nerve ending. Instead of a simple little connection, the nerve actually forms this giant cup, a calyx, that completely swallows the base of the type 1 hair cell. You have to think of this structure as a kind of synaptic supercharger. So how does this supercharger actually work? It uses a process called non-quantal transmission. Here's the play-by-play. When the hair cell gets activated, potassium ions just flood into that tiny space inside the calyx cup. And that big concentration of potassium is enough to directly trigger an action potential in the nerve. It completely short-circuits the slower traditional process of releasing neurotransmitters. It's a direct electrical shortcut, and it shaves off critical milliseconds from our reflex time.
Okay, let's wrap this up and put it all together. What we're seeing here are two absolutely beautiful and very different solutions to the same core problem: how to master high-speed motion. And really understanding these two strategies is crucial for appreciating the amazing system we clinicians get to work with every single day.
So here are the main things to take away. Number 1, the Avian strategy. They built better sensors and a bigger brain processor to predict and control flight. Number 2, the Mammalian strategy. We invested in pure synaptic speed to create a super reactive reflex engine for stabilizing our gaze on the ground. And finally, number 3, never forget that evolution is full of trade-offs. Losing the Langino was a sacrifice, but it unlocked this whole new world of high-frequency hearing for us. We've reached the modern human ear, but it's not perfect. In the final episode, Video 5, Evolutionary Medicine, we discuss why our ancient history makes us prone to BPPV and motion sickness. Thank you for listening to this series. To explore more similar topics regarding dizziness, vertigo, and imbalance, and to get clinician and patient resource materials, visit AustralianDizzinessClinics.com. Please subscribe and leave a rating.